He doesn't know, chat. He doesn't know. Hey, what's up guys? Kolst here, bringing this video on what I think is by far the most underrated card of the new set. And if you guys have been watching my stream on Twitch and some of my recent uploads on YouTube, you probably already know which card I'm talking about, and it's Silas Darkmoon. Oh, and just so you guys know, if it's gameplay content you guys are interested in, I will be including some highlights of me playing with this card, including some games where this card completely won the game by itself, and some games where I lost because I just didn't draw this card in time. So for anyone not familiar with our friend Silas, he's a 7-mana 4/4 neutral legendary minion with an interesting and unique battle cry. Choose a direction to rotate all minions. So what this means essentially is that if your opponent has a board with a couple minions and one of them is something you want, like a Proto Drake, and whether or not you have a small minion, ideally you have a small minion on board to give him on the opposite edge. But otherwise, at worst case scenario, you can just rotate Silas himself and give your opponent a 4/4 or something smaller, and you get to steal that Proto Drake. So a lot of the time, this card is very similar to a Mind Control. And it's worth keeping in mind that if you can give your opponent a smaller minion, you also get the 4/4 body. So this card oftentimes is better than a Mind Control for only 7 mana. And also means you don't have to wait until turn 10 to play it. So there are a lot of situations where this card is absolutely insane. Of course, this minion does have the downside that the minion you need to steal does need to be on the edge. But in my experience, honestly, I think the reason this card was rated so low by so many people was that they thought that this would be something you could somehow play around, but realistically, it's completely impossible nearly to play around. And in fact, beyond that, it's almost always a misplay to even play around this card because there's a much more common card, which is the bunny, which you will almost always be playing into by playing around this card. Several of the premium cards you're going to hit with this are Smug Senior and Bone Chewer Vanguard, and because those minions have taunt, you need to play them on the edge so that the bunny doesn't get to cleave you, at least not as badly. And just for reference, on HS Replay, Silas Darkmoon is in only 1.2% of decks compared to the Darkmoon Rabbit, which is in 13.7% of decks, a very big difference. But besides, keep in mind, you can always take trades if you have minions on board to set up this card. So realistically, if you are so far behind that your opponent is even able to play around this card, you're probably already losing. There are very few cards in the game that could ever even save you. So the other more realistic downside is just that your opponent literally never plays a big minion, which does happen sometimes, right? It's the same downside as Mind Control, but Mind Control is still a very, very highly rated card by most people. While we're talking about the stats, I want to show you guys where exactly this card is represented in the stats to show how powerful the stats indicate that this card is. So to compare this card to some other neutral cards, which is the most fair comparison we can make, unfortunately it is a legendary, so there isn't as much data, but this card is clearly overperforming the win rates. Out of all the neutral cards, this is the single highest performing card by a significant margin. It is at 59.8% win rate right now, which is 1.2% higher than the next highest card, which is another legendary Keymaster Alabaster. A very, very strong card. And to give you an idea of how well this card is doing in another class, Demon Hunter, it's all the way up to 63.7%, which is only 0.5% lower than Expendable Performers, which, as I've been saying, I think is one of the best 5 cards ever printed in Arena. So this is a large part of the reason why I think this card is easily top 10 cards of the new set, and possibly in the conversation for one of the top 25 to 50 best cards ever printed in Arena. And when I looked through the individual classes, there were only 2 classes where this card wasn't seriously overperforming. And those 2 classes were Rogue, because I think Rogue is just kind of terrible right now, and Priest. And Priest I completely understand, and I think it's the worst class for this card because, first of all, people are playing around Mind Control already, so people are more likely to accidentally play around this card. And the other reason is because you just don't tend to have a lot of small minions. So the downside of having to give your opponent a minion in Priest is going to be higher than it is in most classes. But now let's talk about why I say this card is seriously underrated. So let's look at 2 of the major scoring algorithms that are commonly used in Arena. These are Hearth Arena and Lightforge tier lists. So Hearth Arena originally rated this card at a 63, which is like a slightly above average card. they actually increased that score up to 70. This is the neutral card rating. 70 is like a pretty good card, right? But I think this card should be up pretty close to the top. For comparison, Mind Control, which is a card I think this card should be similarly rated to, maybe not quite as high, it depends. Especially not in Priest, because as I said, Priest does have problems with this card, but Mind Control is up at 100, which is one of the best cards in the entire game. Now looking at Lightforge, Lightforge rates Silas Darkmoon currently at 87, which is right next to Razor Fen Hunter, which is not a good card. It's a below average card. Now I will say Lightforge did say that their algorithm was bugged. They didn't realize that it wasn't programmed such that it could rotate itself, which definitely would make the card a lot worse. But they also said that they didn't think this card would be too far above 100, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. This card should be up with their new algorithm. This thing could easily be like a 200 rated card, I think. Mind Control, for instance, in their tier list is a 163, so I think that maybe that's a bit more reasonable, something around there, maybe in, somewhere around there. I'm not going to speak for their algorithm more than that. And we'll say it could be very different in different classes. So there's that. So with that, I think I've made my case for why I think Silas Darkmoon is seriously underrated right now, and I think it's one of the best cards in the new set, if not in the entire arena right now. So let me know if you guys like this kind of content. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did, and comment down below if you agree or if you disagree. Either way, anything helps the channel. So thanks a lot again. We're going to bring you guys to some gameplay videos, some of the highlights I mentioned earlier with playing with this card. Thanks a lot again. We'll see you guys next time. Scorpid, Parade Leader, Broom. So, if I want to just value trade, we have to kill this. Trade like that. I guess that's fine. I could have even like Scorpided this and then rush this in, but then this still dies, right? It didn't really matter. I think I'll do that. We get to keep both of these guys around so that we have Silas targets. He doesn't know, chat. He doesn't know. He lacks critical information. It doesn't really matter which way we swap them either, right? It actually just straight up doesn't matter. We're just gonna trade the little things. He knows, chat. He was astonished. Where's our youthful brewmaster when we need him? Crap, I can't position around Bunny. This is a problem. This is actually a real problem. I should have thought about that in advance. Yeah, I don't know. When I was doing my card review, like, people were doubting Silas, and I was just like, do you guys not see the potential that I'm seeing here? You really think this card is bad? I just see 7-mana Mind Control. I don't know about you guys.
We will hold the Black Temple.
I guess Manus, you could have gone like Hothead, Broom, Scorpid. That was fine too. Okay, we rotate this way. So this way, right? Yeah, it seems reasonable.
I can't win them all.
We're also positioned around Bunny. If you don't take the trade, you can potentially set up a some something something. I guess we'll just take that. We want to rotate this way. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, okay, we'll take a Smug Senior. It's fine. Who says Silas is a bad curve minion? Yeah, it's like the reason taking the Smug Senior is good. It's good to get a Smug Senior, but the fact that you're denying the Smug Senior was honestly, if anything, the more relevant part of it. Because now he's out of steam, right? We actually kind of needed the steam, and we denied his steam. What do you know? A clown. He's waiting for Eye of the Storm. Yeah. The problem with Eye of the Storm is you can't play Clown the turn after Eye of the Storm. Not that you would necessarily... You would hope that you wouldn't need to, but... Okay, so the plan is we play Proto Drake, he mind controls the... Oh god. Well, okay, well... Alright, so I guess it's... So we're gonna have to Silas now. This way, right? This way, this way, this way. I'm pretty sure we go this way. I'm fairly confident in this way. He's gonna mind control it back, probably, and then I don't know what we're gonna do at that point. Guess we just play Proto Drake. Doesn't have shit, I guess. Okay. Pretty good, it's pretty good 7-drop here. It'd be a shame if somebody dealt 12 damage to it. It'd be a shame if somebody dealt 12 damage to it. We have a 1 in 5 for Fireball off of the Star Scry. The Shatter knows. It just... This is why we don't doubt the Shatter. We just know once we see the Shatter, the game is over. We have so much taunt, though. We have the Great Wall. The Great Wall of America has been built. We built about 450 miles of wall. We have another 450 miles of wall right here. Confident board. You can almost call it overconfident.
We'll be fine. It wasn't that big.
We might just die though, because we don't actually have that much taunt. Is the issue. If you're tapping, you're looking for Shadow Flame, right? Shadow Flame or Silas. We can steal that. It kind of feels like we're gonna need either Shadow Flame or Silas to actually win. I'm pretty sure we just can't win. Well, we need him to play Proto Drake. That's how we win. That's actually how we win. A little late. We're honestly just completely dead. Like, there's just no... There's no way we win at this point. We have, like, 1 turn for him to play a Proto Drake. So that we can win. Oh. Basically a Proto Drake. It's like so little. It's just like way too late though. We have to get rid of the Vape. Wow. It dies on board, so I don't know. There's literally nothing we can do with this. Maybe actually, if his whole deck is wisps, we actually still lose. Oh, here's our chance. Maybe Fire Blast himself 3 times. That's not it. That's not it. I think we can call it at this point. Close one though. Yeah, that guy just had such an insane amount of quality in his deck. We had to steal. We had to get Silas way earlier than we did. Logan, thanks for the follow. Silas is like the way this deck wins. We basically had to steal one of his smugs, I think, again. Do we just keep Silas in the opening hand? It feels like it's that important, actually. When I was doing the card ratings, like, chat was arguing with me that Silas was bad. And I was like, I think this is, like, easy 5. Forget, they might have pulled me down to, like, a 4 or 4.5. Because chat was saying, like, it was, like, a 2 or a 3. I was like, are you guys crazy? Yeah. I think, unironically, I should have been keeping Silas in my opening hand. It was so important to this deck to actually have that card. Because we didn't win a game where we didn't have Silas in our hand by turn 9, I think. It was like the only way this deck was able to win. Because it wasn't aggressive enough to be aggro, and we couldn't win the late game without Silas.